We need to discuss the paradox of the pick me. If you have been listening to this podcast for a while, then you will be familiar. You will already have heard about the pick me woman as a concept. If you are not familiar with the pick me woman as a concept, let me bring you up to speed, why don't I? So, the pick me woman, if the label doesn't already give it away, the pick me woman is a woman who wants to be picked by any means necessary. Who does she want to be picked by? You guessed it, men. She wants to be picked by men. She wants to feel secure in being chosen by men. She wants to feel like all the efforts that she has made to follow the rules imposed on her by patriarchy pays off through her being chosen to be some man's partner, some man's girlfriend, some man's wife, some man's baby mother, if you will. Whilst I do come from the place of supporting women's rights, I'm still figuring out where I fit when it comes to supporting women who are pick-me's. Because oftentimes, pick-me's throw women under the bus to get where they need to get to. And it often comes through the expressed rhetoric of, I'm not like other girls. I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah, she's loud and she's annoying, but I wouldn't do that to you. Yeah, she complains about the things that you don't do to tidy up after yourself, but I wouldn't do that. I'm not like those girls. I noticed that pick me women and religious women, if there was a Venn diagram, them two would overlap. So you got religious women where there are clear doctrines and there are clear ideologies and there are clear ways of being that they follow, which I'm not going to condemn. Like, every religion serves its purpose and people follow religion for their own reasons. What I will say is that Abrahamic religions, like Christianity, are built and based on patriarchy, the idea that women are subordinates to men, the idea that women are inferior to men and therefore a man deserves to assert dominion over a woman. And that is often seen in the dynamic of being a wife to a husband, being a mother, being a homemaker. All these things that women are expected to do, religion reinforces it. Now, when it comes to being a pick-me, there's no religion that's forcing you. You just woke up and chose that you want to be a pick-me. But I will say that I empathize with pick-me women. I think for a woman to get to a place where she self-identifies as a pick-me, there are things that are not working. And she possibly feels like she has no other option because she really wants to be partnered with a man. And she feels like having boundaries, having standards, being high maintenance, having high expectations of men decreases her chances of being able to find a partner. And if that woman isn't somebody who has beauty standards on her side, then there's a stronger likelihood that she will turn to pick-me-ism as her belief system. Another reason why I empathize with pick-me women is I don't think they're coming from a bad place. Like, I don't think that their intention is to be mean or malicious. I think they're coming from a place of wanting to be loved. And I think that they're also coming from a place of maybe not having the intellectual bandwidth to assess and unpack what it really means to be attracted to men and what it looks like to act on your attraction to men. Why I think pick-me women deserve empathy is because they're struggling. They're struggling. They might have they might have actually tried to embody this whole having higher standards and increasing their boundaries. And in the process of doing that, they found that it's left them feeling more lonely. And loneliness is a scary feeling for anybody who is not in a place where they feel comfortable with their self. I've noticed from personal experience via having been around various types of women, especially in the public figure space, there are a lot of women who are public figures and they're pick-me's. You would think that if a woman is successful, as in visibly successful, i.e., she embodies the key markers of success. So she's got lots of followers, she's known to the general public to some degree, aka she's some sort of celebrity. She's doing well in her work, so much so that her success is noticeable, right? You would think that if a woman has all these things going for her, then automatically her dating life would be fine, because through being successful, you would be in a network of men who are also successful, right? You would think that a woman who is a public figure or a celebrity would automatically have the self-esteem to only accept the best for herself. And remember, the best is subjective, right? Because what I consider the best for me might not be what someone else considers the best for themselves. But for lack of a better word, you would think that a woman who is successful and is around successful people knows how to secure the best for herself. You would be so surprised to find that that is in fact incorrect. There are women across social standings, across classes, across positions in society who don't know how to identify outside of being picked and loved by a man. And that's what I find really concerning, because the true paradox of the pick me is that ironically they don't get picked, which is really sad. Do you know who gets picked? The menaces, the formidable women who you scowl at. The formidable women who you look at and you think, she's so up herself. Why is she so rude to men? No man is going to want to marry her if she talks like that about men. Those are the women getting picked. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Let me tell you the women who are getting picked, because you know what? Picked has various definitions. There's picked as in somebody has decided they want to marry you. There's picked as in somebody has decided they want you to be their girlfriend. There's picked as in somebody has decided that they want you to be spending and enjoying their money, even if you're not answering girlfriend as a title. There are variations of being picked. And I'm telling you, I've seen it myself. I've experienced it myself. The women who don't care about being picked are the ones getting picked. The women who are preoccupied with being picked are not being picked. Do you know who's a classic case study of this? That long throat pick me pal. And I say long throat because she be opening her throat, to espouse these weird sentiments that we know her aim is to denigrate women. Her aim is to do that thing of throwing women under the bus so that men can pick you. She be talking all this kind of shit like, oh, a woman's place is in the kitchen. Oh, women are weaker. All the things that you expect a alpha male misogynist incel to say. She says all those things. And to give you extra context, she is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman. Okay? On paper, she's society's ultimate standard. But in reality, these men want nothing to do with her. You know why? Let me tell you why the pick-me's don't get picked. Because men value control. They don't like it when you willingly offer yourself. It is the same thing, to me, as hunting. I know people feel funny about the analogy of men are hunters and men go after what they want, because it implies that women are prey. But look at the ways that men prey on women. So we got to call it what it is. But let's take this hunting analogy a little bit further. A hunter gains no satisfaction from the animal willingly walking up to the hunter and being like, just take me, just shoot me. Just shoot me. And then you can take my antlers and hang it on the wall and tell everybody that you killed me. Like, a hunter is not going to appreciate an animal deliberately walking into his shooting range and that animal deliberately loitering to deliberately be killed. The hunter enjoys the thrill of spotting the animal, tracking the animal, chasing the animal, killing the animal, skinning the animal, and making an ornament out of the animal. That's what the hunter enjoys. It's not just about the moment that the animal is killed. It's everything surrounding what led up to that animal dying, and you being able to, with pride, show everybody what you managed to do. That is very different to some animal willingly handing itself to you. So the same thing applies to how men see pick-me's. I know that we don't want to use the word hunting because women are not animals. I don't believe women are animals. I don't believe we should be hunted. But your beliefs differ from reality, unfortunately. You can believe all the things you want to believe, but as long as reality is the way it is, your beliefs and reality will not be in alignment. So this is a clear example of that, where I don't believe women should be hunted. I don't believe the word hunted should ever even come into the conversation when it comes to courtship and flirting and dating. But when you look at the ways that men behave, when you see how they treat women, they essentially hunt us out and use us for emotional labor or for sexual access. The rare few times where they seek us out to genuinely improve and enhance our lives are far and few between. So the pick-me women, they're hacking away at something that's not working. Men don't like it when you willingly offer yourself to be used. What they prefer is a woman that they can bend. That's why they skip past the pick-me women and they like to target women like myself or women like you, who, I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast, you have enough sense to know that you deserve better. And the likelihood is you're listening to this podcast to explore ideas around you getting better out of your experiences with men. You're listening to this podcast because you already know that you're the shit, period. Talk your shit, girl. You're listening to this podcast because you know you're a baddie, purr. You are a target. Just keep that in mind, innit? Men want to target the women who are strong-willed. That's why you've got to be extra vigilant when a man tells you that his type is a strong woman. Or if he says something to you like, oh, my mum was a really, really strong woman. She raised all 7 of us by herself. Start running. Start putting on your shoe and start running. Because that man's about to have you in for a series of unfortunate events. It's not going to get any better. Men don't think like we do, okay? I think one of the hugest mistakes that women make, especially pick-me's, is that they think men love like we do. No, they don't. Men are not women, innit? We're not the same. So this is why I don't think pick-me's are ill-intentioned, even though they be throwing us under the bus a lot of the time. I don't think they're ill-intentioned, and I don't even feel threatened by pick-me's because I actually feel sorry for them. And I'm not laughing at them, innit? Like, I feel sorry for pick-me's because that's the best they can do. If the best you can do is, I'm not like other girls, I'll cook and I'll clean. Yeah, I want a man to lead me. Yeah, I don't believe in arguing too much with a man. If he says jump, I'm going to have to ask him, how high, king? How high do you want me to jump, king? I cook, I clean. If he wants me to be pregnant, I'll be pregnant. And if he wants me to go to work while being pregnant, I'll go to work while being pregnant. And if he wants me to split the bill, I'll split the bill. I'm telling you, these women, they're saying all this because they don't believe that life would work out for them if they dropped all that rubbish and started to view themselves as unattainable to those who don't deserve them. The opposite of a pick me is not a conceited woman. I think the opposite of a pick me is a woman who just values her time and knows how to act on her self worth. And this shit ain't for everyone. It's not for everyone. But I do notice how pick me's be shooting themselves in the foot. I see it in the ways that they make themselves so easy to be taken advantage of by men who have done barely anything to earn such access, to earn such closeness, to earn such intimacy. I'm deeply, deeply disturbed by that, irritated by that. I don't like that for us at all. I don't like that. We deserve better. We deserve better. And, the women who have had the issues with me and my work, they oftentimes tend to be pick me's. And these days, right, I'm not quick to clap back anymore. I used to listen, I'm a Sagittarius. That's a fire sign. My clapback game is strong. But I don't clap back at these women anymore because their situation is bad enough as it is. Like, if you're in a place in your life where you're desperate for a man, so much so that the sight of another woman saying that she wouldn't even settle for what you dream of, if that irks you, you've got bigger problems than me. I don't even need to tell you about yourself because your situation's hard enough. But if you're listening to this and you are maybe what I'd call a recovering pick me, then I think you'll get a lot out of this episode. But you know what you'll get a lot more out of? Coming to my live show on October 26th, 2024. No, guys, this is serious. I am bringing patriarchy's worst nightmare to the West End. Yes, that's right. October 26th, Leicester Square Theatre. I am having a live show. One show only. So if I was you, I would not just secure my ticket, but I'll secure my homegirl's ticket and her homegirl's ticket because you want to make this a girl's affair. I see this as the kind of show you go to and then after the show you go for dinner with your homegirls because this is a 3 p.m. show. So that means you still got your whole evening left. You're going to be in the West End. So imagine you come to see me live in Leicester Square Theatre, talking my shit, putting on a show for you guys. And then straight afterwards, you get to enjoy dinner and have a cheeky debrief over some drinks. I can't think of a better way to spend a day with your girls. I'm just saying. So if you are interested in experiencing a hilariously educational, informative, and fucking brilliant spin on patriarchy, disobedience, and dominating men, I would invite you to grab a ticket to my live show happening on October 26th at Leicester Square Theatre. You can go to the Leicester Square Theatre website or you can just search Slumflower live show October. Either way, the link is in the description of this episode. Alternatively, the link is in the top of my Instagram bio. So it will be lovely to see you there October 26th. You don't want to miss this. I'm just saying. And if you got a pick me friend who you want to slowly introduce to a new world, this will be the perfect transition for her. And I say this with all the love and all the kindness that I could possibly muster because, again, I don't think pick me women intend to be bad mind. Like even Pearl, the OG pick me white lady, I don't think she's malicious. I think she's frustrated. I don't think that she's evil. I think that she wants companionship and maybe she feels like the way to go about it is through a method of extremism because not only does the extremism invite attention, I think it also gives her the opportunity to possibly generate some sort of career from this because on the internet now, like You can go viral for literally anything. And if you want to spin it into some sort of long lasting career or an attempt at a long lasting career, there are tools and options available to do that. But I do think that for a woman who's a pick me, like taking Pearl out of the picture and just focusing on the average pick me, like the girl next door pick me, who doesn't really know any better, or who hasn't ever tried to explore any better, if you're listening to this and maybe you identify with that and you're wondering, well, how can I take baby steps to stop being a pick me and start being a woman who values herself and doesn't feel scared to speak up for what she wants? How can I be a woman who isn't aggressive or intimidating, but still knows how to dismiss what's not meant for me? I think it starts with how you use language when you're around men. So, in a situation where a guy has come up to you and he's trying to flirt with you, if you're operating from your pick me approach, you're likely to be super agreeable, super go with the flow, sort of quick to say yes to anything he suggests, right? But if you're not a pick me, let's say you're a woman who has figured out her self-worth and knows how to carry herself in the presence of men who are maybe chatting her up. Whilst you can still have a fun and light-hearted, maybe even dare I say it, flirty approach, there are ways that you can maneuver it by using language to keep that guy on his tippy toes. So for example, my favorite one that I've recently been using, and I think it's just the little sadistic streak in me that enjoys, I just mildly enjoy making men feel like they ain't all that. I love to say, you're not really my type. Because that's alarming. For a guy who is the beauty standard, I know I like to say this to men who are good looking. You're not really my type. When I tell men who are really good looking that they're not really my type, it perplexes them because they are so used to being the universal type. If you think about the type of man who is almost certainly universally attractive, right? Especially in the black community, he's tall. His beard connects, so there's no patchiness in his beard. He's got a full, consistent beard. His hairline is intact, with a nice trim, a geometric trim, clean lines, sharp corners on that hairline. He's got nice facial symmetry going on, a little cheekbone, a little jawline, a little eyebrow or two going on over there, yeah? He got them wide shoulders and biceps to go with it. He's just classically good looking, okay? He might be mistaken for a model. Like that kind of guy. Those are the kind of men who I like to say to them, you're not really my type. Because it's so vague. It's like, why am I not your type? I'm everyone's type, excuse me. That's probably what they're saying in their head. But why I like to use you're not really my type as a phrase, especially if you're a woman who's a recovering pick me, this phrase helps because it gives you room to say what you like in a man, and it is passive reverse psychology. I'll explain how this reverse psychology works. So let me detail a hypothetical scenario where I'd use this phrase. Good looking, beautiful, dark-skinned man comes up to me to chat to me. And based on my assessments, he's used to getting a lot of attention from women. He's used to hearing that he's good looking. He's used to approaching women and almost always getting her number if that's what he's approached her for. I'm going to have to stand out. But I'm not going to do it in a way that's going to be rude or abusive or to just hurt his feelings. That's never my intention, and that's never how I like to go about things. I don't think that creates the result you want unless you are a seasoned player. like myself. Don't try this at home. But what you can try at home is, right, good looking guy comes up to you. He's chatting you up. You're waiting to use this "you're not really my type" line. Maybe if he starts asking you questions like you got a boyfriend or anything that you know is alluding to him flirting with you, you can be like, do you know what? I'm not going to lie. Your energy is good, but you're not really my type, you know. You're not my type. But we could have a really cool friendship because we got loads of mutuals. And I can already tell that if we got these people as mutuals, you're probably good peoples to be friends with. In it. And he'll be like, wow, what do you mean I'm not your type? He'll completely forget the fact that you said that you want to be friends, you got mutuals, you think he's cool. He's going to focus on you saying that he's not your type. He's going to be like, wow, what do you mean I'm not your type? Then you can, this is the part where the reverse psychology comes in, because you're deliberately making an assumption that he's not a provider. So you'll be like, well, the reason why I say you're not really my type is because my type is provider. I normally go for guys who are older because they know how to take care of me really well. In that short sentence alone, you've given him reason to now challenge you, because you said your type is provider. You normally go for guys who are older because they take care of you well. So even if this guy is not older in the definition that you mean, provider and take care of me well, if he wants to provide and take care of you, that's within his remit, right? So he might hear that. He might be like, how do you know I'm not a provider? And you'll be like, well, you haven't taken me shopping yet. You can make a sarcastic joke like that. Or if he asks me, how do you know I'm not a provider? You'd be like, well, because my hand is still empty. Like, have fun with it. Be sarcastic, enjoy it, relish in it, because it's funny. Flirting should be fun. This is a mistake that pick-me's make, right? They're too serious. Every man will not be your husband. Every man will not be the one. Every man who makes you laugh is not, oh, this could be the one. Every man who compliments you, it's not, oh, this could be the one. It's just another guy who finds you attractive and is letting you know. If something might come of it, then we'll have to see. But I don't think it's helpful to navigate every interaction with men based on this hope that this could be the one. Because that's what breeds that desperate energy. And that's why pick-me's don't get picked, because they're desperate. And when men sense desperation, it repels them. They think something is wrong with you. Do you know that? That's why you shouldn't be a pick-me, because in you being a pick-me, you're only generating terrible options for yourself, because you will be picked. Yeah, you will be picked, but by men who enjoy having control and leverage over women who don't value themselves. So you've got to start as you mean to go on. So when you're flirting with these boys, yes, you're not really my type. That is my favorite line. Because if it's a guy who is classically good looking, it's going to rattle him. Now you're going to become a challenge to him. And it's not about this whole like, oh, the hunter is hunting the prey. It's not that. It's more just, sometimes you need to give these guys a bit of work, you know? Because they're so used to not having to work for the pussy because they're so good looking. You need to be the change they need to see. You need to have them remembering and recognizing that they are still a man and they have to work for what they want, especially if what they want is a woman. Women ain't free. So another thing that I think pick-me's could use when interacting with men is the power of pace. It's okay to pace yourself when you like a guy. You don't have to act on your feelings immediately. It's totally fine to take your time and still keep in mind that you like this guy. So what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, that means if you got a soft spot for this guy, don't let that cloud your observations. Because what I've noticed that happens, and this has happened to me in my heyday, back in my day, in my early 20s. Back in my heyday, when I was a bit younger, I used to lead with this bias that the guys who I like automatically like me back. And I would read into their behaviors and assign my own meanings to their gestures. And this is something that I notice happening to a lot of pick-me's. I'm like, this is why you're stuck. This is why you don't know how to leave this man. This is why you are psychologically tied to a lamppost. Because you have overvalued your interactions with him. You've overread into the shit that he says. So now, this man has managed to get you trapped in a place where he's convinced you that he's the only person who thinks you're special. And this is where the pick me thing stops being a joke. Because pick me is the pipeline to abuse. Usually, pick me women have a smaller bandwidth for resisting a man's persistence. There are men who are very persistent and they know that all they need to do is keep prodding you till you cave. Whether that's them nagging you for sex, whether that's them passively working their way into your psyche, because that's a thing too. There's men who will use, what's the opposite of a compliment? But you know when men do that thing where, yeah, negging. Yo, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you probably heard me talk about negging so much. But negging, if you haven't already heard me explain it, negging is when a man deliberately chips away at your self-esteem through criticism, through him trying to imply that you're not all that, through him downplaying your greatness. It's subtle, but the intention is to size you down a bit. So if you're a pick-me woman, negging. Men will neg you and you won't notice it because you're so preoccupied with the narrative that you've created about who he is and how much he likes you. And so you justify his negging. If anything, you absorb the negging and you start to make changes to yourself based on the negging. So if you're a budding musician, you've got a beautiful voice and you've connected with this guy who you see him as powerful for whatever reason, whether it's because he's an established musician or he has connects in the industry or he's giving you the idea that he's going to support your career in some sort of tangible way. Anything that he says about your music or about your voice, you will take it to a deeper place because you value his opinion. And this is something that is very common. It happens a lot to women. I've seen the strongest of our soldiers fall on the battlefield because a man got into their head. This is why I'm saying, as a pick-me, you owe it to yourself to let go of that title. We don't need to reclaim pick-me, okay? It doesn't serve us. We can reclaim words like whore, slut, hoe, because a whore, a slut, a hoe is a sexually empowered woman who has full control over her own body, and dare I say, she is brave enough, powerful enough, and daring enough to monetize access to her. And that is shamed and scorned under patriarchy because that doesn't give men room to control you. That is why slut, whore, hoe deserves to be reclaimed. Reclaim that shit. But don't reclaim pick me, please. Like, you're not doing what you think you're doing. If you're like, I'm a pick me, I'm going to reclaim it. Girl, you don't need to, don't let that be your name. Don't let that be what you claim over your life. Don't claim pick me for anything because you're not empowering yourself. In my opinion, you're not empowering yourself by deciding you're going to reclaim the word pick me. Why do you need to reclaim the word pick me? What do you gain from identifying as a pick me? I'm genuinely curious. I'm really not even trying to judge. I'm approaching this question from a place of curiosity because I'm trying to understand, like, what's left for you over there? There's nothing there, girl. Get up, stand up, know your worth, act on it. Please get up. Dust off your knees and your shoulders, please. This is embarrassing, sis. Because let me tell you, right? The kind of women that these men end up with, they're not happy. These men are not happy. Pick me women and the men that they are partnered with, both of them, they're not happy. The man wants more from the woman, but the woman has given everything and it's still not enough because there is no sense of him having to earn anything. There's no sense of him feeling challenged to uphold the standard that he set out to create. Because this is another important thing. Start as you mean to go on. That applies to women, that applies to men. So as a man, when I say start as you mean to go on, I mean that if a guy has started chatting you up and his approach is him being very generous, very gentlemanly, very charming, he needs to keep that energy going. Because for me, once the charm, the generosity, and the kindness stops, you're going to stop seeing me. So start as you mean to go on. Similarly speaking, as a woman, if you have engaged with this man from the onset through the vibe of, I'm going to make sure he chases me. I'm going to make sure that I feel treated like a queen. I'm going to make sure that this guy values my time. You need to keep that going. Don't get comfortable and drop all of that, because that's a mistake a lot of women make. Once you get comfortable, you drop your standards. He has to work for it for the rest of his life. Sorry if you don't want to hear that, because a lot of pick-me's are like, this is too much work. It's too much work. Which one is this is too much work? Having self-esteem is too much work. Not letting men have ownership over your life is too much work. Creating boundaries and having a system in place where if men want to talk to you, you have to prioritize your own day, activities, commitments before you sit down and be giving him kiki time. Which one is that's too hard? It's too complicated. This is just sounds fake. Whatever happened to real love? Stop that, because that's not benefiting you. That's what's keeping my people stuck. Because let me tell you, right? The type of men that pick me women end up with, it's scary out here, guys. It's not funny. But the type of men that pick me women end up with, they're not happy. You mean you want to put yourself in the position of partnering with a man who doesn't appreciate you? Why would you do that? Just so you can say you have a man. Why would you do that? What do you gain from that? Tell me. I want to know what you gain from that. Because in my personal opinion, you deserve better. But I'm probably not the person that you want to hear it from, though, because this is a very aggressive messenger. This messenger is too... she's too ambitious. Listen, I don't think it's ambitious at all for a woman to decide exactly what she wants her life to look like and to only make herself available to the man who will facilitate that. I don't think that's ambitious. Do you know what's ambitious? Men thinking that with their receding hairlines, their pot bellies, and their plaque engulfed teeth, believing that they can talk a woman out of her own self-esteem and talk her into being in bed with him. And do you know what's crazy about that? It happens all the time. Men still manage to do it. So if men can achieve the unthinkable, unrealistic feat of landing a 10 while having barely any hairline to their name, then you too can also land the unattainable, unachievable feat of partnering with a man who values you and worships the ground you walk on. It's not impossible. You need to dream big. You got to be thinking big, okay? But I don't want to spend too long on this topic because I do think that it's pretty simple. And the hard part really isn't in understanding the concept of going from pick me to I've already picked myself and I do the picking for anyone else who wants to be in my life. It's not a massive leap. What's hard is believing that you're worth it. What's hard is breaking out of the comfort and pattern of letting men have governance over your life. Letting men feel like they run shit round here. They don't. They don't. And you know what's annoying about being a pick-me woman? It impacts the quality of your friendships. Okay? Do you know how many times I've had to just see something and not say something because the woman I'm going to say it to, she's not in a place where she's likely to take action or take beneficial action from what I'm pointing her in the direction of. She's probably just going to project that energy onto me. I don't want no problems. So when I see you lot's boyfriends moving mad, I just keep to myself. I keep quiet. Okay? Unless I feel like you're the kind of person that would actually be receptive to what I'm pointing out. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying a word. If you like it, I love it, my dear. But this episode is a little shorter than the more recent ones, which I think is good for a change. So, if you have enjoyed listening to this episode, thank you. I appreciate it. If you want to hear more of my ideas, if you'd like to dive deeper into this world, I would encourage you to join my Patreon at patreon.com/theslumflower. If you're not familiar with Patreon, Patreon is a platform where creators like myself can share exclusive content behind a paywall, meaning that if you are a subscriber to my £10 a month Patreon, you get monthly access to podcast episodes that don't go anywhere else. You get bonus mini-sodes, aka thought streams. You get voting power on the episodes that go live on the Slumflower Hour podcast. You get access to a 64-page guide on whether you should keep or leave that guy. And that guide is called the Dilemma Manual, which is free for you to access if you are a member of my disobedience deviance tier on my Patreon. So my Patreon has a one-tiered system, meaning that there's only one, what do you call it? There is only one, yeah, I guess it's called a tier. My Patreon has a one-tiered system, which makes it very simple. And I've priced it at £10 a month because I think that is the most accessible I can make it while still being able to benefit from putting this content out there for you guys. So if you want to learn more and surround yourself with other disobedient women, you better join patreon.com/theslumflower. I will see you there. And if I don't see you on the Patreon, I will see you at my live show at Leicester Square Theatre on October 26th. So until then, have a beautiful day or a beautiful evening, depending on when you're listening to this. And as always, I will catch you in the next episode.